Hey everybody, and welcome back to some more Project Ozone Lite. Last episode, we were working on setting up our rather small 5x5 extreme reactor, which, as you may have seen at the end of last episode, was producing just shy of 75,000 redstone flux per tick, which is a little bit excessive for what we need right now. You'll notice that we have one basic capacitor bank which can input and output a maximum of 1,000 redstone flux per tick, and so having 75,000 redstone flux per tick being produced is a little bit of a waste. It's a little bit inefficient, and so what I've done between episodes is I've dialed it back just a little bit to where we now have just the one reactor control rod in the middle. I took away the 4 that we had in the corners, and so now we've just got the one that is surrounded by diamond blocks. It still produces a ridiculous amount of redstone flux per tick for what we need right now. You'll see it produces about 20,000, but more importantly, it does use less yellorium, using 0.4 millibuckets per tick, as opposed to I think it was 0.65 millibuckets per tick before, which is good because right now we are low on yellorium. We're not sifting standard, so yellorium is going to be the resource that we run out of sooner rather than later. But again, as I mentioned before, we probably only need about 1,000 or 2,000, maybe at most 5,000 redstone flux per tick over the coming episodes, and so having 20,000 redstone flux per tick is still kind of excessive, but what I want to work on at the start of today's episode, we are going to go ahead and upgrade this capacitor bank, hopefully throughout the course of today's episode. But before we get into that, I would like to organize the way in which we send our energy conduits and our ME conduits from the big reactor and connect it up pretty much to everywhere else in the base. Because you'll see right now, we've got these energy conduits that are on the roof, and they're not necessarily bad looking, but it'd be nice if they were embedded in the floor and they weren't visible. And we also had those conduits that were running kind of across the middle of the room at the end of the last episode, which did look kind of bad, and it would be quite nice if we could hide those, and that is exactly what we can do with the painting machine, which I made between episodes. This thing is really easy to make. If I show you the recipe here, it requires 2 nether quartz, which I did get some more of between episodes, 1 diamond, 5 electrical steel, which is made in the alloy smelter with iron, core powder, and silicon, and then finally it needs 1 machine chassis, which we've made a million of so far in the series. And then the way that this works, for those who don't know, is you put in 1 block on the left here. This is your painting block. It's your template block, for lack of a better term, and this is what your block is going to look like. Then in the middle slot, you grab a facade, which is made by crafting together 8 conduit binder, like so, in kind of the chest pattern. And then if we throw that into the painting machine in the middle, that's going to go ahead and paint the conduit facade to look like the oak wood plank. And then what you can do with that is put it down like so, and then use it to hide your conduits. And so now if I wanted to put down this enhanced energy conduit inside of the conduit facade, you'll see when I hover over it, it becomes transparent. I can put the conduit in, and then if I was to hover over, for example, my crescent hammer or another ME conduit, I can see the conduit, but if I'm not holding either of those, it looks like a normal block. Pretty cool stuff. So let me try and break this without breaking my floor. There we go. Pick that back up. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab some of the stone that we use to make our pillars downstairs, and I'm going to make a couple more of these conduit facades here to look like those pillars, so that what we can do is have those power conduits and those ME conduits run down from the top, and I'll show you what I mean in just a second here while that is smelting away. Run down from the top here, right down into the floor. You'll see I have already made a couple of these conduit facades and made them look like oak planks in the floor, running all the way from just behind this chest right over to our big reactor. And the reason why I did this, by the way, you might think this is a bit of a weird way to go about it. Why did I not just go like around the outside? This weird zigzag shape here is because originally I did make them to look like oak wood logs, but you can't rotate the oak wood logs to look how I want them to look. And so I'll show you real quick here. If I grab an oak wood log, I don't think we quite need 5 of these, but I definitely don't need this one. So let me quickly do something like that. You can repaint, by the way, and so it's not a problem if you paint it incorrectly. But if I put this down, you'll see there's no way to rotate it to make it look like the ones we have downstairs, to make it sit sideways. Even though I put it up against a block like this, it still places the oak wood facade facing upwards, which is not kind of how I want it to look downstairs. And so I decided to run through the middle of the base, and essentially all we're going to do now to get this all hooked up and running is temporarily get rid of our ME security terminal, like so. Put down one of these facades right about there, and then put the rest down like so. I do, in fact, actually have to get rid of this and put in one of you, and one of you. Also going to need more of those conduits. We'll get to that in a second. But if we do this and this, what we can now do is run these ME conduits through the facades here, all the way down to the floor. And I think I was actually missing one over here. I was, so I'll fill that in as well. But now what we should be able to do is break that and then have these come up. And I guess we want them to go through, like here. It's going to look a little bit weird. It's not going to look perfect. But if we do this, we're now 1 block away from the ME export bus. You can't connect these ME conduits, I don't think, directly to the items from Applied Energistics. No, you can't. So I can't connect that directly to this. But what I can do, of course, is grab one of our normal ME cable, which I can't do right now because my security terminal's not down. And so I do have to go right back up to the crafting terminal, but that's fine. But what we can do, of course, is this, and that should go ahead and light up any second now. It's now connected, and so all we have to do is head on back over here, grab a single ingot worth of Yellorium, and essentially, as I mentioned last episode, all we're doing now is telling our ME system to send Yellorium to this block if it needs it. Right now, it doesn't need it. It's going to send it anyway, and it's going to be waiting there ready to go. But we also do have stuff that we need to take out. We need to remove the cyanide from the big reactor, because you'll see here at the bottom, under core fuel status, the bar is slightly blue, and that's where the reactor is filling up with waste fuel that we don't need, that being the cyanide. And so we do have to pull the cyanide out of the reactor if we want it to continue to function at maximum efficiency. And so all we need to do to get the cyanide out is make another reactor access port. Fairly simple stuff. We need a piston as well as another batch of this, which I think we should be good to do. We just need to get one more of those reactor casing cores. I'll make a few of them just in case we need more throughout the course of today's episode. And then all we do with this is throw it down, just like we did before. I'll get rid of this piece of reactor glass. Oh, I always try to not get rid of everything, but the pickaxe is too powerful. But if we put both of these down like this, all you can do, crescent hammer, right click on the reactor access port, and it switches it up to be able to push items out instead of taking items in. And then just like with the export bus, if we make ourselves an import bus, what that's going to allow us to do is, as the name suggests, do we have what it takes to make this? Really? Oh, I need the fluix dust, don't I? Of course. I did make some more fluix crystals between episodes, and so this should be fairly easy to do. Also, do I have enough blood in here? I've got 200 millibuckets. That is more than enough for us to make ourselves the sticky piston here, which is good. We should really get a better source of slime. But for now, let me do this. After I make myself the piston, that is. I'm going to make like a few pistons here because we always need them and we never have them. And we do still need to get ourselves a tree farm because the fact that we don't have a bunch of oak wood in the system is not the best. But let me do that and that. And as I was saying, this is essentially going to tell our AE system to pull whatever is in the block adjacent to it. In this case, this guy, the reactor access port set to push out, it's going to pull whatever is in there out and into the AE system. And again, something like this. Boom, it's hooked up, it's ready to go. And so that should effectively pull out all of the cyanide. You'll notice we don't have any in here anymore. I think that did effectively pull it out, although I'm not 100% certain on that. Let me, auto-eject waste is on. So it should go, in theory, directly to here, whenever it goes anywhere now. And so any more cyanide that is produced should go directly to the output access port, and all the Yellorium should go in through the input access port. And then we just need to make a few more of these enhanced energy conduits, which are actually fairly easy to make. Let's have a look here. Conduit. To make these, we need 6 of this conduit binder as well as 3 energetic alloy. I did go ahead and make quite a bit of energetic alloy between episodes, partly because we do need it for the conduits here. Also, do I have more of the conduit binder? I do indeed. Good stuff. But also because you may have noticed I've gone around and put in AA capacitors into quite a few of the machines. You'll notice all 3 of these machines have AA capacitors. They're all working just a little bit faster. And I've even got 4 more in my inventory so that we can come over and make all of these machines as well just a little bit faster. Of course, they do start to require more power, going up from 70 to 210 redstone flux per tick, essentially tripling the amount of power that they consume, but we can afford it. We've got a bunch of redstone flux per tick being produced by our big reactor, or about to be being produced by our big reactor, and so having the extra speed is always nice. So let me just quickly do the same thing down here that I did with my ME conduits, like that, and I think that we are almost 1, 2, 3, and oh, we are gonna have to change that in a second. Also, like that. Let me think. Yeah, I'm thinking what we're going to do here is get rid of this. Can I not do that with a conduit? I can't. Let me get rid of that. And then if we do this and this, we can also do this and this. Nice. And again, we could use some conduits to cover that up, and I probably will do at some point in the future. And also, between episodes, I will work on embedding all of these in the floor. I'll do exactly the same thing. I'll get the chiseled stone, the dent version, and I'll just move all of these up by one, so they're all hidden within the stone floor. Same thing here. I don't know if we can do that with the oak trims from the storage drawers, and also have them work, and so I might just have to move those down into the floor and have them run that way. But you get the idea. I'm going to try and make things look just a little bit nicer with all of our conduits. And also, let me just quickly go and see how much power we've got in here. We've got more than enough. I'm not going to turn this on just yet. I am, however, going to do something like, let me go and quickly paint another few of these just so I can cover it up a little bit. I think what I'm going to have to do is just have 3 oak wood at the edge here. Like I said, it's going to look a little bit weird, but I think it's going to look better than just having the conduits kind of out and all over the place. But now that that is taken care of, the next thing that I want to work on in today's episode is upgrading a couple of things around the base. And the first thing that I want to upgrade is my jetpack, because we're still using the basic tier 1 conductive iron jetpack, and it's not very good. It's not got a lot of power, it doesn't hover very well, it's not very fast, and there is an easy fix to that, and that is the carbon jetpack from Passwords Things. Now, to make this, we need 4 carbon ingots, 2 carbon thrusters made with more carbon ingots, and some blaze powder, which we have in abundance, as well as 1 carbon harness, which is made with, you guessed it, more carbon ingots. And so to make the carbon ingots, we can either do it how we did originally for our pickaxe. We can put carbon into the smeltery, or we can get ourselves a compressor and then put 2 raw carbon into there. Raw carbon, of course, being made by smelting blocks of coal. I think we do already have some raw carbon in our system, simply because it might be over in the chest behind our mob spawner, because we did get quite a few out of our loot bags, but nevertheless, it is actually super easy to make, and we've got over 6,000 coal, and so I'm just going to throw some blocks of coal into our alloy smelter here real quick, and whilst those smelt up, we can go ahead and make ourselves the compressor, was it? Yeah, and to make this, it's 4 dark steel, 4 emerald bits, which are basically emerald nuggets, and then finally, we also need to get ourselves a machine framework. Unfortunately, this one isn't interchangeable with the machine chassis, and so we do have to go ahead and actually craft up 4 raw carbon, and then 4 either hardened glass, but you can actually use fused quartz, which is made in the alloy smelter with some nether quartz, and so I'm just going to grab what we have of that, simply go ahead and throw this in like so, and that should go ahead, and if we put in maybe 1 more, craft us up the 4th piece of fused quartz. Do I really need to go and get some more? Oh, I need to go get more. Can I use the other quartz for this real quick before I head on out? Fused quartz. Fused quartz. Can I use... I can use quartz blocks. Actually, I think... Can I not do this? No, I can't. Can I do this? No, okay. In that case, guys, what I am going to do is I'm going to quickly take that. What are we missing? I don't think we're missing anything now. We just need to get the quartz glass. Do we have the dark steel? We don't. We need obsidian, pulverized coal, and iron. I think I have some pulverized coal left. I do. I know we have some iron, of course. And then also, of course, we've got a bunch of obsidian. Let me get that going in the alloy smelter. Guys, I'm going to head on through into the nether. I'm going to try and get a little bit more in the way of nether quartz, and I'll be back in a second. And a very short amount of time later, we've now got 6 dark steel. I can very easily make some more of our quartz glass. How much do I need here? Like 8? Is that going to make me what I want? It is indeed. And so now if we head on back through to the crafting terminal, we should be able to make ourselves a compressor like so. We first of all, of course, have to make the machine framework. So we'll try that again like so and like so. And then once we got that, we can go ahead and I'm assuming this thing requires power. And so for now, I'll put it right about here. Also, I'm aware that this looks horrible. It will get fixed in the future. But for now, do we want it set to crafting table? I'm not quite sure. But let's go ahead and throw some raw carbon into there. And I'm hoping that's going to make us carbon ingots. It is. Nice. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 carbon ingots. Right now we're making 10. And so let me just go ahead and grab a few more blocks of coal like so. And I'll go for like 6 for now. I know we only need 3, but we'll throw all of those in. That should get us more than enough. I do quite like the, well, it's a bit flashy, but I quite like the fact that it's got a bit of a cool animation going on inside of there. We only got 5. Why do we only get 5? Does it take more than 1? Oh, it takes 2, doesn't it? It takes 2 to make an ingot, of course. Let me grab, in that case, a few more blocks of coal so we can actually make the right amount here. And then, again, boom, and boom. And that should fairly quickly get us everything that we need. Now, I haven't tried the carbon jetpack yet, but I have been told that it is pretty much creative mode flight. And if the carbon tools are anything to go by, I'm not surprised. The carbon tools are ridiculously powerful for how much they cost. And so I'm really hoping that the carbon jetpack does work in a very similar way here. And so that should get us the 13th and final carbon ingot. Head on back to the crafting terminal. And then boom. And boom. 1, 2. 1, 2. And boom. Nice. Okay, so let me see here. You can upgrade this, I think, because you'll see there's a few infused carbon jetpacks here, or jet plates here, that work in a slightly different way. But for now, let me just throw this into here. It can hold up to 400,000 redstone flux in total. I'm not going to quite fill it up full just yet, because I do want to see just quite how it works. Okay, so it took me a little while to figure this out. I've been jumping over and over again, trying to figure out why my jetpack isn't working, when I realized it's creative mode flight. And so you have to double tap spacebar as if you were in creative mode to fly, and that is how the jetpack works, which is pretty awesome. It is actually creative mode flight. When I heard people mention it, or saw the comments mentioning it, I thought it was like creative mode flight, like it was almost creative mode flight, but it is actually just creative mode flight on a jetpack that's actually fairly easy to make. Now, it does run out of fuel quite quickly. Now that I mention it, it has almost lost a quarter of its charge. And so one thing that we might want to look into making is the wireless charger here from Ender.io. Not something I plan to make in today's episode, but something that I think we should be able to make fairly easily, and something that is going to allow us to keep our jetpack consistently filled so we don't have to worry about falling out into the void whenever we wear it. Now, to make this, we need 7 electrical steel, which we have already made a little bit of so far today, or I have at least. I made some before the episode started, and so let me just quickly grab a little bit more in the way of iron, a little bit of silicon, and then do we have any more coal? We do indeed, so I'll just throw all of those in there. That's going to get us the electrical steel taken care of. Whilst we're waiting on that, we also need to make an octadic capacitor. For that, we need 2 double layer capacitors, which we do have. We don't, but I could steal one real quick and then make a replacement between episodes, as well as 1 block of glowstone and 2 vibrant alloys made with energetic alloys and an ender pearl. We do have 7 energetic alloys left, and so if we just grab 2 of those and then 2 ender pearls, we also have 1 enderman head, which is perfect because in order to make the ender resonator, we need 1 enderman head, 2 solarium ingots, another vibrant alloy, and then 2 silicon in a slice and splice. We'll get to that in a second. For now, let me grab you out of here. Let's do this and this. That's going to get us those vibrant alloys. And in fact, we do know that we need to get at least 1 more vibrant alloy. And so let me quickly grab 1 more of our 106 ender pearls out of here, and I'm just going to do /home because I'm lazy, and then all we need to do is grab 1 more energetic alloy, and that should be all of our vibrant alloys taken care of. So we'll throw both of you in there. After that, all we are missing is nothing in terms of making the octadic capacitor. We're just missing 2 solarium to make the ender resonator, and then 5 more solarium to make the slice and splice. Now, solarium is made in the alloy smelter, as you may have guessed, and it's made by combining soul sand and gold. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any soul sand, but I'm thinking that it shouldn't be too hard for us to find some in the nether here. I don't know if we're that close. Also, I don't know what it is, but it feels like every time I come to the nether, there's always a ghast here. I killed a ghast earlier today. Also, I don't have my jetpack on. Oh, no. Oh, I do have my jetpack on. I'm just a fool again. It's creative mode flight. It's going to take me a while to get used to that, simply because I know it's a jetpack. But there we go. That's our second ghast here of the day as well. I did get one earlier, so that's always nice to have. Do we have any soul sand nearby? It doesn't look like we have any. There must be some somewhere though. Let me quickly do a bit of flying here. We'll find some eventually. Here we go. We don't have a shovel. We should really make a carbon shovel. But for now, that is way more soul sand than we need. Again, I'm just going to do /home. We do need to eat a couple of pots here of applesauce, which is probably getting a little bit annoying for my character. They're probably not loving eating applesauce non-stop, but it is such a good source of food that I'm just going to stick with it for the time being. And so, let me grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 golden ingots. Throw those into the alloy smelter with some soul sand. That should get us a bunch of solarium nice and quick. quickly. And then after that, we need to make ourselves a slice and splice, which does require some shears, an iron axe, and another machine chassis, which you can make fairly easily. Let me see here. Iron axe. Really, we don't have any sticks? All right, that's easy enough to do. I still do need a tree farm. I wouldn't mind. All we need is a farming station, which is probably easier to make than the wireless charger that we're making right now. Did I already make one of these? I think I did, but I'll make another one nonetheless. And then all we are going to need a spare one anyway, so it's not really a waste. I think we do have a spare basic capacitor. We do indeed. Our solarium is done. Good stuff. And so now let us get a slice and splice, like so. And then once we got that, let me throw this guy down for now, I guess, like right here. Again, this kind of area is getting much, much worse as time goes on. But the way that this works is you do have to put in an iron axe and a pair of shears at the top there. And so my spare iron axe that we just made, or that we didn't make, I thought we did make it. I guess we didn't. My spare iron axe that we didn't make, oh no, we did. It's right there. I'm a complete fool. My spare iron axe that we did make that I thought we didn't make, but we actually did make. If we take that and a pair of shears and throw both of those in there, now all we need to do is put in our solarium, put in our Enderman head, put in, I think, 2 silicon, I believe was also part of the recipe. And then finally, what was the last piece here? It was a vibrant alloy, of course. Throw that in the middle. That's going to go ahead once it gets power, which it's not going to do because this is not hooked up to anything. Do we have more energy conduits? We do indeed. Let's see here. I'm going to have to get rid of this temporarily and then do something like that to connect that up. And I guess for now, I can put this back down like right there. I know it's getting bad. Don't worry about it. This is going to get us the Enderman head or the Ender resonator. And now that we have that, we should be able to pretty much just go ahead. And once we get that octadic capacitor, which apparently is missing a block of glowstone, which of course is super easy to make, we should have ourselves an octadic capacitor, and then finally a wireless charger. Nice. And for those who haven't seen it before, it does exactly what it says on the tin. We can put it down right about here, and I believe by default, anything within a 17 by 17 range is going to begin getting charged wirelessly. You can see already we're gaining power despite the fact that we are not charging it in the capacitor bank. And even if I start to fly, I'm not quite sure how much power this thing uses. It looks like it does use more than we're producing or more than we're sending. But then as soon as we land again, it should start fairly quickly, I think, charging up again. Maybe? Am I outside of the range? I don't think I'm outside of the range. Although this thing is out of power, of course. That's why it's not working. If I turn it on, hopefully we should see that I start to gain power. Although all of our power seems to be going through there. There we go. It's full of redstone flux. Let's try this again. If I fly, it does go down, but maybe not quite as fast. I'm not sure. It looks like it's taking a bit of time to kind of connect. And also, it looks like this is not quite getting, like, redstone flux quickly. Let me try doing this real quick. If I put it, like, right here. If I set the front of this to push, and then I do that, is that going to start to fill up with redstone flux quickly? I'm not sure. We're full on power. If we fly, we do lose power. But then if we land, eventually it does start to fill up again. I'm not quite sure how long it takes for it to kind of register it. As soon as I take it off, maybe, does it not refill in my inventory? Maybe it's just not displaying it properly. Because, like, as soon as I take it off and put it back on, it kind of fixes itself. I'm not quite sure. But nevertheless, we have creative mode flight. Hopefully a way to wirelessly charge it. I am going to be a bit cautious over the next few episodes to make sure that I don't find myself over the void too much, just in case the wireless charger isn't quite working as intended. But it is working quite nicely. So, now that that is done, that's one of my next upgrades taken care of. The final thing that I want to work on in today's episode is this quest over here, wireless networking. To complete this quest, we have to, first of all, head back there, but we have to make one wireless setup kit and then one wireless connector. This is to do with applied energistics, and it is not too expensive to make, especially now that we've got, really, we don't have iron ingots? Oh, no, we do. We don't have the wireless receiver. What are we missing for that? We're missing a Fluix pearl, which requires more dust, as well as another ender pearl, which of course is over in our storage drawer over here. But this storage drawer setup is the reason why I'm making this, because I want to get that storage drawer setup hooked up to our main applied energistic system. And to do that, we would either have to run ME cables all the way over there and then put a storage bus on that draw controller, which wouldn't be too hard for us to do. But what I think would be cooler is if we went ahead and made one of these wireless connectors, or actually, now that I think about it, 2 wireless connectors. And so I'm going to have to go and grab one more ender pearl real quick. I'm going to grab a few just so I don't have to keep going backwards and forwards if we need more of these. But essentially, what this is going to allow us to do is transmit our applied energistics channels wirelessly from our controller over to the other draw controller so that we can set it up without having to run cables all the way along. Now, do we have any more fluix dust? We don't. Let me quickly get... Oh, no, we do. We've got 6 in our inventory. Let me quickly do something like this. Grab a couple of fluix seeds. Throw those fluix seeds, of course, into our crystal growth chamber like so. Those are going to grow nice and quickly. And then after that, I don't think there's really anything else out of the ordinary that we need. We need a bunch of engineering processes, which we should already have. And so now I think if we just put these into here like so, I'm fairly certain we should be able to make 2 of those nice and easily. And not 3. How many did I make? I made 2. Okay, good. And then we should also be able to go ahead and make one of these. We, of course, don't have the networking tool, and we actually don't have this guy yet, which means I am going to have to grab 2 more fluix crystals real quick, throw those into the sag mill. Thank you very much. And kaboom. That gets us the fluix pearl. That gets us the wireless receiver. And then finally, the networking tool. What are we missing? We're just missing the wrench. Easy enough to make. Probably should have made it out of Certus quartz, not nether quartz, because we've got a lot more of that. But nevertheless, that's going to get us the wireless setup kit, which should complete the quest. If we back out here, it did. And then we'll go ahead and claim that loot box. Hopefully it is something good. 5 punji sticks might not be bad if we want to set up a different mob farm, but for now, not really too useful. And then essentially, the way that this works, let me quickly see here. Do I have what it takes to make a storage bus? I think we should be able to do that fairly easily. Oh, I don't have the stuff to make the sticky piston, do I? Also, I don't have any freaking wood, of all things, either. I don't have any oak wood planks, and so I can't make any pistons yet. Let me do that. And I'm just going to make like a 21 pistons, I guess. That's fine. Do I have this? I do. Let me quickly see here. How much do we have? 40 millibuckets. I am going to stand in the smeltery here. As tedious as it is, I think it is the fastest way for us to get up to what I think is 160 millibuckets in order to get a pseudo slime ball. Was it 160? Yeah. And then we'll take that out, craft ourselves up yet another slime piston, aka a sticky piston, and kaboom, we get a storage bus. And so, as I was saying, the way that this works is you can put down one wireless connector pretty much anywhere on your network. I'm going to put it right next to our ME controller, and then I'm going to right-click it like so to begin the link. And then if we put down another one right about here for now, and then right-click it again, that's going to connect the link, and you'll see there is a blue line showing the connection there. And then finally, put a storage bus down, put down our ME glass cable, and that should go blue any second now. There we go. And so now, if we head on back over to our crafting terminal, we should be able to access all of those ender pearls. You can see we've got all 100 of them, as well as, for example, rotten flesh. You can see we've got almost 2,000 that we don't have in this setup here. It is being wirelessly connected to our applied energistics system using our wireless connector. These things do use quite a bit of power, and so that's one of the main reasons why I didn't make them earlier. If I open this up here, you can see that we are at 0 out of 16,000 redstone flux. And so I think we are, yeah, we're at negative 3,000 redstone flux per tick on the capacitor bank there. They are very, very expensive. Maybe a bit too expensive, given that we're not going that far. You know, the distance isn't that great, and we could just run a cable over to there. But we do have the power. We've got almost 20,000 redstone flux per tick being made, and so it's not really too big of a deal for us here. We should be able to fill this up, even with all of this stuff running as it does. And also, it looks like our wireless charger is finally working, because you can see we are not losing power on the jetpack at all, which is fantastic. And we've also got that nice wireless connection there as well, and another quest complete. I do need to put down my security terminal again, though, because right now I do not have the ability to use my wireless crafting terminal, which is not really something I want to have to live with. Is that connected? I think it should be. Let me just quickly check here with the crescent hammer. It is indeed. Does this work? It does not. I think I have to put it through here again, and then it might work. It does, nice. Also, you can press the terminal style button here to make it just a bit bigger, which is something I didn't think to do until before today's episode, but it does make it just a little bit nicer on the eyes, at least in my opinion. And with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end today's episode of Project Ozone Lite there. It is episode 10, and so as is tradition, I'm going to go ahead and throw a world download link in the description. I'll put all of my stuff into this chest here, so that if you want to download the world and play along with me, you can do. You can have all the stuff I've got and kind of continue on from this point on if you would like. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.